Thorny, as we venture into the R&R, two truths are consistent. We love our dear Montana state, and we love great beer. And you know who else feels the same? Jeremiah Johnson Brewing. Brewed in the heart of Montana in downtown Great Falls, Jeremiah Johnson takes Montana's finest ingredients to craft some of Montana's favorite beers. And now, Jeremiah Johnson's second tap room is open in downtown Coeur d'Alene. Their Citra IPA is probably one of my favorites. But we all know, Thorny, you're not the hop lover I am. You're more of a mountain man Scotch ale.
Well, Foley, I'm certainly not a mountain man, but you are right. I do love their Mountain Man Scotch Ale. But come game day, you and I are both cracking their Golden Bobcat Pale Ale. So when you're looking for a quality craft beer brewed with Montana roots, a relaxing tap room, or just a six-pack to take to your favorite Bobcat tailgate, Jeremiah Johnson delivers. Make your next beer a Jeremiah Johnson, and as always, go Cats.
We are the Big Sky Podcast.
Hold on.
I didn't know what to say after that.
That's fine.
I was going
Mom,
good,
you
too.
coming in? Mom! Okay, we just started recording.
That's the outtake right
What
there.
am I, like,
That's the
14?
outtake right there.
Mom, I'm on a podcast, Mom. Yes, I want a sandwich.
Welcome, everybody, to the R&R Catcast, a fan-based podcast focusing on Montana State athletics. We're two dudes named Ryan from the state of Washington talking about our dear Montana State. We hope you enjoy it.
All right, welcome back, Bobcat fans. Thanks for joining us on another episode of the R&R Catcast. We are your Ryans. I'm Ryan Foley. Across the state from me, joined virtually, is my buddy, Ryan Thornburg. He does most of the work for this podcast. Let's be honest, he's our editor and producer for most of this. I just get to sit here and talk. So he's going to bring it here in a moment, but I just want to let you know that he's a guy behind all the magic, all the good sound that you get to hear. I want to give him credit for that. I don't think I ever have. So there you go, Ryan.
Aww.
But before we get going, just a couple things. We are the Bobcat Podcast for the Big Sky Podcast Network. And we have an awesome sponsor, Jeremiah Johnson Brewing, brewing great beer out of Great Falls, Montana. They have two tap rooms, one in Great Falls, and the second one opened about a year ago over in Coeur d'Alene, Idaho. Thorny, how you doing, buddy?
I'd also like to add that I'm also the talent. So running the whole thing, quite literally. You can't give me a compliment. It's going to go straight to my head. I appreciate that. Man, I'm doing great, man. It is Monday evening. We are going to work on our preview episode, which means we're actually going to talk a little bit of football. I am stoked. How are you doing, man?
Well, my voice is hurting a little bit. So if I sound a little bit off, my voice hurts just a little bit. Maybe it's coming back to Spokane. We were camping last night over in Priest Lake, Idaho, which was a beautiful spot. It kind of reminded me of the Sealy Swan area over Montana. Anyways, we came back and there might be something in the air. It's typically the pines around here in Spokane that get me, and it kind of feels like that tonight. So, yeah, my throat's feeling a little off, but my spirits are high.
Is the smoke clearing up over there? Is it still pretty smoky?
Yeah, no, it's good. It's clear outside. We've had like this awesome, like cool weather the last couple of weeks, and it looks like it's going forward. So all that's going good. But when the wind picks up, we have a lot of pine trees around our house. It blows off the pollen, and I'm a little bit allergic to it.
Gives you the scratchy throat. That's no good.
Yeah. No, it's all right. Nothing a beer won't help.
That hurts your talent level for sure. Good thing it didn't make you spit your barrel over your computer there. I was watching that.
Oh, yeah.
All right, let's get into it.
Okay, buddy. Well, let's start off with in our golden coolie. I'm going to put you on first. What's on tap, Thorny?
Oh, that splashed everywhere. I got the Jeremiah Johnson Mountain Man Scotch Ale. Got it over here. I've been saving some of that Jeremiah Johnson for actual football discussion. He deserves it. We deserve it. You guys deserve a Jeremiah Johnson because football is back in Bozeman. Cheers. That's all I got to say.
I like this version of Thorny. He's a benevolent guy.
Yes. Well, like I said, you
got
complimented
one?
me, and now
I
it's
got one.
and
Let's
now
go.
I'm just too big for my britches over here. Yeah, you get one. You deserve one too. I afford you that. Anyway, what are you drinking? Let's get off of this conversation.
Yeah. Okay. I have a Rainier in mine.
I feel like we're on the opposite ends of the spectrum here.
All right, let's slip those back into our golden coolies so
Yes.
they're not banging on the table.
Yep.
Ka-ching. There we go.
You got a second
All
beer
right,
lined up?
so I do. The same one I had last week. The one with the cow looking in the hole of the farmland. I
Yes,
have no clue what it's called.
Mel's or something.
Yeah, Mel's Magic. So
Yeah, I remember it.
we'll get to that probably in about 15 minutes or so.
It could be a bit longer. We're going to try and keep this short. We're not going to go into too many big deep dives or anything like that. But, we're going to be going for a little bit. A lot to talk about.
All right. So like Thorny said, we're going to take a dive. I hate that word phrase, by the way. Take a deep dive. No.
We're not taking
We're
a
just
deep
gonna
dive.
go.
We're just going to wade into the pool.
We're gonna dip our toes into the basically the position groups Montana State is rolling out. We have not a lot of information on that because they're being pretty secret over at Montana State. So they've released, to our account, maybe 2 depth charts from spring. One was obviously during the spring. Was it the Triangle Classic? Not the Triangle Classic. What is the game we play in the spring?
Sunny Holland scrimmage.
Yeah, that's it. But then on MSUBobcats.org, is that right?
No, it's
Dot
not
com,
right.
dot org, whatever. Dot,
.org.
this is going great. You can find a football guide PDF, and there is some in-depth knowledge in there, probably written by Bill Lamberty himself. And there's a what do you call it, Ryan? I'm missing
Don't know a treasure
the
trove
word
of
for it.
information. I don't know what you're going for here, to be honest with you.
a depth chart. There it is. Oh my gosh. Here we go, guys. There is a depth chart there for us to look at. So this is where we're getting some information. Colton Poole put out quite a few articles breaking down position groups. Nice job on that, Colton Poole of the Bozeman Daily Chronicle. So we've taken our information from a lot of different sources, and we're just going to go position by position, talk a little bit about maybe like some of the key contributors, maybe some guys we expect to see, maybe some surprises.
Yeah, sounds good. Yeah.
And on the back end, we have some Golden Coolie questions that we had left over from last time that we didn't get to.
Yeah, we got a few questions too, so it'll be fun to talk about those at the end. Some of them we might ask the questions as we go, possibly if it's real pertinent to what we're talking about. But yeah, we got lots of questions to get to, and we're gonna select a winner and get a Golden Coolie out because it's that time of year.
All right, let's get right into it. Thorny, this is like your wheelhouse. You love breaking down position groups, stats, stuff like this. So I'm going to let you lead the conversation. I'm going to be right here with you, buddy, but I'm going to let you drive this one.
Well, I'm not going to have a lot of stats because, it's been so long since the Bobcats played at this point and the whole new coaching staff. We're going to know some of the key contributors without the stats here. But let's start off. I was thinking we'll start with the offense, work our way through the position groups there, and then work over to the defense. So on the offense, let's start with the main man there. Let's start at the quarterback. As everyone knows by now, we have a quarterback battle going on. We got Matt McKay, the transfer from North Carolina State, who's been here for a while now. It's going to be kind of an overarching theme of all this too, is like freshmen have been here for like 2 years at this point. It's kind of a weird discussion point, but we got Matt McKay, 6'4", 211 junior, battling with the incumbent Tucker Rovig, 6'5", 227 junior, who led us to the semifinals last year. And then we got Casey Bauman still in the mix there at 6'6", 235. He's just a sophomore now. I don't see Tommy Malott factoring in this year at 6 foot, 205, the redshirt freshman from Butte. But I've been hearing really good things from him out of camp, just as an athletic standpoint. So he might be in the factor. in an athletic role. But let's get to the real question here. Who do you think is going to start from that group of quarterbacks?
I think Matt McKay is the guy. Everything we're hearing, everything we're reading, I think Brent Vegan might have even come out and said that he is the starter at Wyoming. I'm pretty sure that's all indications are pointing towards Matt McKay, which, something I read today, Ryan, that made me feel good about it is like he earned it. He fought, worked hard. It just wasn't assumed to him. So, good for him. I like what we've seen him play on the spring game. I mean, that's really it. Like, I have like no, I have not like mined his South Carolina games at all, any kind of video of him. And so MSU puts out the little clips every now and then. I don't know. So yeah, Matt McKay, that's all I really know.
I think I haven't heard Vegan come out and specifically say he's going to start, but yeah, like you said, all signs are pointing to that. That's what we've been hearing. I think you and I predicted at some point, maybe during the spring check-in or summer check-in episode we did, where we think Tucker Rovig's going to win the job back at some point. I think we predicted McKay will start and Rovig will be back at some point. I don't know if I feel the same way now, but it's so hard to say. Like we're saying, we haven't seen any of these guys play at all. A lot of this depth chart stuff, there's so many freshmen, there's so many guys that haven't played, but I'm excited to see whoever wins the battle. I think if it is Matt McKay, he will have earned it. Like you said, I'd be completely happy with Tucker Rovig, which means can only mean Tucker Rovig has actually improved his game as well from last year. So I think we're going to actually be set at quarterback position. I think we're going to get better play out of that position. I'm just kind of more curious what the play calling is going to be and how we're going to look throwing the ball and who we're going to throw the ball to and how much we're going to throw it. I think those are the big questions for me at the quarterback position. How about you?
Well, you cut out there for a good 30 seconds, so I didn't hear much of what you just said, buddy. But I'm excited for Matt McKay. I think I'm excited. Like I think I cut the last bit. I'm just excited to see the new offense, see who we have a stable of wide receivers we're going to get to here in a moment. So, yeah, I'm excited to see some more passing.
Yeah, that's basically my summation of what I said was I'm more interested to see how we're going to utilize the quarterback and who we're going to throw the ball to and how often we're going to throw it than I am the personnel necessarily. I am excited to see maybe a more dynamic playmaker like Matt McKay if he is that to be on the helm. But I'm pretty curious to see a staff that might value throwing the ball a bit more than the previous staff. All right, so let's just move right into wide receiver while we're at it, since we're talking about kind of the passing game. This is where I think has the biggest position battles out of the entire roster. There's a lot of guys fighting for the starting spots. The depth chart out of the spring had Lance McCutcheon, who's a senior from Bozeman. We got Willie Patterson, who is a junior. I could have swore he was a senior by now, but maybe he never redshirted at any point. But he's going to be in the slot, I assume. And then we got Jaden Smith, the 6'5", 207 freshman from Texas, right? On the outside there, who we've heard nothing but good things about. I believe Kevin Cassis, on an interview with him, told us Jaden Smith's going to break every single MSU passing record, right? Or receiving record, excuse me. So, high opinion from Kevin Cassis, who was no slouch himself. The other departure from the wide receiver room being Travis Johnson and Kevin Cassis, like basically almost all of the catches and receiving yards from last year. And then Coy Steele would be the other returning guy who's had a little experience, the 5'8", 182 sophomore, I believe. So that's who has been listed at the spring depth or at the starting position. Is there anyone else you think that could be pushing for a starting job there? We got lots of other guys in that room.
Yeah, I mean, our wide receiver room is pretty deep. Jahad Monroe was a guy that flashed in the spring. He's new for us. Peanut Monroe, 6'2",
I love it.
210. Charles Brown is a cousin of Jaden Smith. He is reported to be the fastest guy on the team. I like to see the ball in his hands. Tanner Trafton, 6'5", 230, the kid out of Lewiston. I mean, if you can't find a guy that's 6'5", 230, get him the ball. Come on. So there's just a couple guys. And I just looked down. Nate Stewart's another guy, the transfer from Akron. He had a good spring. I wouldn't be surprised if he gets some targets coming his way. He's on this depth chart. He's number 2, right behind Lance McCutcheon as the Z receiver. I think that you'd be your outside receiver. So I don't know, Ryan. It's hard to talk about our wide receivers because we just haven't seen a lot outside of Kevin Cassis and Travis Johnson, but which is surprising because we have really deep talent at the wide receiver position. So,
but most of these guys are new at this point, though.
Yeah, we have a ton of freshmen, and it's a good point. Like I think Coulter made this today, and I'm not going to parse it out the way he did it because I think he did a good job. But with the year of eligibility that was tacked on due to COVID, there's like 3 or 4 different levels of freshmen. Like you have like actual true freshmen, you have freshmen, redshirt freshmen, freshmen last year that came in that
the double freshman
got the COVID year. So it's kind of crazy when you see freshmen, you're like, well, when did they actually come in? Was it, I mean, you could be a redshirt freshman and come in at 2018 right now.
Yeah.
And still be a redshirt freshman.
It doesn't really benefit anybody because everyone has that advantage, so to speak, but it's very interesting to think about. But yeah, you're talking about that. So we got freshmen like Jaden Smith, who actually played in 4 games or a few games in 2019. You didn't even mention Cam Gardner, the transfer from Utah, who's 5'10", 183 pounds. So we have 2 FBS transfers fighting for spots. We've heard a lot of talk about Andrew Patterson, the true freshman from Arizona, 5'9", 178. He's supposed to be a speedster. Man, there's going to be a battle. And I think, man, if it's going to be, this is like Lance McCutcheon's year to really take the reins and be a productive receiver. He's been around the program. He hasn't gotten targeted very much, partially because of the talent in front of him, partially because of how MSU utilized the receiving game and the throwing game, passing game. I'm excited to see if he can take an actual step and be that dude. He's built. He looks physically like a beast. I've seen the pictures and videos out of camp. He looks just ripped. I'm excited to see if he can take the next step. So I think we got a good group, whoever emerges there. Probably the most exciting group for me to see just what develops, what comes out of it, the entire roster.
I would agree with that. Some other names, 2 names before we move on, Peyton Hansard and Logan Kleinhans. Those 2 guys seem like guys we've heard about for a long time. Haven't seen any action from them in games or in like practices. I'd like to see maybe them get some time, earn their spots out on the field and contribute.
It's hard to know what Taylor Housewright and Brent Vigen look for in a wide receiver. I know Choate probably valued blocking more than anything, so we'll see how it goes. I mean, but there's nothing but talent. There's size, there's speed, there's everything you'd want, and I think it's just probably finding a good combination of guys that can make plays there. So let's move to the running back position. This one's going to be probably a shorter conversation. Pretty set in stone. We got Isaiah Afonso returning for his junior year. Already has 2,000 yards rushing in his MSU career. Then I think kind of the star of camp, the talk of the town, Elijah Elliott, 5'10", 175. Is all right. So in this scenario, is he a freshman? This is like his or was he here last fall? I don't know. Anyway, he's a freshman. He hasn't redshirted yet, so he's an actual freshman. And then we got the returning talent of Lane Sumner and Demarius Hosey. Sumner's a sophomore, which is also a little surprising. And Hosey must be a freshman because I think he redshirted. So Hosey's the bigger of the back, 5'11", 200. Lane Sumner at 5'8" is listed at 192 pounds. Man, that's pretty stout. If you're 5'8" and pushing 200, you're a little bowling ball. He's got some big, powerful legs. Like Lane Sumner's a talented running back. Like I think he'd be starting at some other teams in this league, and he's going to be 3rd or possibly 4th string on the MSU roster. And then we got Jahari Martin.
He's going to truck your face off.
Yeah, or jump over you. Did you see the video? He, I think it was the fall brawl or the spring scrimmage thing. He jumped over somebody. So 5'11", which we've heard is a very generous 5'11". 237, we've heard that is not generous. That is real. just an absolute weight room beast at 237, 240. Trucking people. He's going to be a great short yardage back. And then don't forget Manaya Olivo, 5'11", 180-pound freshman, who honestly looks very talented himself, but at this point in this room, it's going to be hard to get carries that far down the depth chart, but he's only a freshman, so I think he'll have his opportunities as he progresses in his MSU career. The biggest concern for me for the running back room is replacing the production of Logan Jones.
Lane Sumner feels a lot like Logan Jones did to me, though.
Yeah.
Kind of felt like the same back to me, so I'm not too concerned about that. Demarius Hosey is a guy I've always been huge on. I just like the speed backs. Montana State has not really used the speed backs a lot in a while. We tend to go with the bigger, sure-handed kind of guys. I mean, Isaiah Fonse, he's not a speed back, but he's fast enough. He has great vision and gets the job done in a great job in a really fantastic way. Anyways, Elijah Elliott, he's like you said, he's been the talk of the town. He's small in stature, but great vision. So yeah,
and
it's going to be hard to get touches.
He runs tough. For 175, we watched him a few times, and man, he just crashes into people if necessary. He's not going to shy away from contact, and I love that kind of that quality. He's going to be the guy who falls forward even at 175.
Yeah, I think just when we get close to the goal line, only thing I think I really can put some confidence in is we're probably going to give Jahari Martin and run behind like Lewis Kidd. So,
and RJ Fitzgerald's in there? Question mark.
Oh, I love me some RJ Fitzgerald.
Are we going to have a fullback? Let's just lump the fullback into the running back room.
Okay, you know what I like about RJ Fitzgerald? Hold on, 30. He's a very studious looking guy with the glasses. Does he have
glasses
hair.
in his profile picture?
He used to. I don't know about the new ones, but he had these black horn rim glasses. Man, that guy looks like he's just like a scholar. But then when you watch him play, he's just trucking dudes, just blowing up people that are coming in. He's such a good blocker. So I love watching RJ Fitzgerald just truck people.
Oh, he does not, but he's got some long hair going on though.
He's got the flow.
Yeah, but it's part in the middle and pushed behind his ears. Yeah, man, that guy is vicious. He better be playing somewhere. I don't know if we're going to be running a fullback set very often now with Brent Vigen and Taylor Housewright, but he's listed at tight end. I really hope that he's just maybe he fills kind of the Wilson Brott model of tight end where he's just in there to block. He's not going to catch any passes. He's just a blocking tight end on the side. But either way, that guy's got to be blocking. That's what he does best, and he does it as good as anybody in the league.
Authoritatively.
I'm a little concerned about Logan Jones. You think Lane Sumner is the Logan Jones type back? I don't think he has quite that speed. Logan Jones was incredibly fast. There was always the camp reports of when they ran sprints, it was always Logan Jones and Troy Anderson running neck and neck. Logan Jones was elite speed. Sumner's fast, but I don't know if he's that fast. So it can take the little fly sweep thingy and do an around the edge and seal the edge. I don't know if he can do that. So that's my concern, but that is a solid running back room. It's going to be still one of the best in the entire conference.
Jimmy Beal must have the best job.
Yeah.
Right? He's got to just come to work going man, I got these guys in my room. Come on now.
His hardest decision is who's not playing today.
Yeah, that would be tough because all those guys that we just read deserve touches, and they're not all going to get touches. So I don't know. Well, maybe they will. It's to be seen, right? The Vegan and Co. might be a little bit different.
Yeah, if Jeff Joe was running the show still, they'd all get touches probably.
Yeah, that's a good point.
It'd be 700 yards, 500 yards, 300 yards, and 200 yards for the top four backs. And there'd also be 500 yards from a Wildcat quarterback. That's going to be the weirdest thing. We're talking about running backs, but I don't think we're going to see any Wildcat quarterbacks, and that's going to be kind of a weird change from previous staff.
Buy or sell, Thorny. Troy Anderson's going to touch the ball on the offensive side.
Let's buy it. He's going to touch it.
Yeah.
if you did an over and under, I set it pretty low. Trey Anderson. He will touch it. I just don't know how much, and I hope it's not very much. Let's move into the tight ends. This is a position group I'm actually pretty excited to see because they might catch some passes. Ryan Foley, they might catch some passes. We've heard reports about utilizing the tight ends. It's not that hard to go up from what we've been doing. If they catch 2 passes a game, that is double what they have caught in the previous half. But there is some players here. We got the listed starter is Derek Snell, who's 6'2", 251. I don't know if that's going to be the case or not because Ryan Davis has been in the program for a long time. He's a senior, 6'3", 264 from Billings, I believe. He's a Montanan for sure. All those great Davis guys that have been playing for Montana State in various sports. Leo Davis, Steven Davis on the basketball team. There's some other ones I'm missing too, but just a big Bobcat family. You got to love it. And then the guy that you and I were talking about a little bit offline, Peyton Thornton, 6'2", 243 from, where is he from? Victor, Montana? Some little Montana town. Sunburst. It's a Sunburst. And then you got Ryan Lonergan, 6'4", 235, another Montana kid. So you got 3 Montana kids and an Alaskan. Derek Snell being from Alaska, the Gatorade Player of the Year, I believe. Man, Snell had that nice catch in the spring game, and he took off, and he actually made a nice little move and scored a touchdown. I'm just so excited to see tight ends being utilized more in the passing game. There's no talent problem here. There's size, there's athleticism. It's just how will you use them? Are they just going to be blockers? I think they have so much more to bring to the table than just blocking. So I'm excited to see if that's the case. What are you looking for in the tight end group?
Someone catching a pass over the middle, a drag route. First time that happens, I'm going to text you. I'm going to be so happy.
Yeah.
It's been a running joke since 2018, right?
Yes.
It's like, just do a drag route.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. It's
happened a couple
Just
times, and you
catch it.
texted me. It's like always just a big celebration when it happens. I hit our
To your
text thread.
tight ends. Come on.
Who do you think is going to receive majority of the receptions if they do target tight ends?
I think they were talking about Ryan Davis is probably the best receiver. But yeah, I don't know. The newcomer, Payne Thornton, is supposed to be a dog up and coming.
Yeah.
He'll be a guy to watch. So
I think he's been developing.
he might kind of blossom. He might,
Yeah.
if he flashes, he'll get some more playing time. So
Yeah, he's probably the best receiving athletic one of the group, but we'll see. I'm a big fan of Derek Snell. I think he's a very athletic kid as well. We have no, as always, Montana State has just a great tight end room, so I'm excited to see where that goes. Some of the biggest question marks to replace on the entire team, offensive line. Mitch Brott, who started 50 games for MSU, something ridiculous like that, graduated, and then Connor Wood abruptly transferred to Missouri, kind of out of nowhere a few months ago, leaving 2 starting positions that were filled last year gone. And then Jacob Kettle is the guy who was slated to be the backup to Connor Wood, is out for the season. I don't know if that was ever reported what happened to him, but he had an injury. He's out for the season. He's a freshman that was really flashing and was thought highly of. Probably would have been starting if he wasn't hurt and Connor Wood transferred. So, do you want to read the starting list here that I put down? Because I feel like I'm reading all the guys here. I'm gonna pass this one over to you because it's nice and typed out for you on the document.
all right, I'm looking right at it. Moving from guard to tackle is our friend of the RNR Catcast, Lewis Kidd. Man, is that right? 6'6", 319.
That's what it says.
Jeez.
I could have made a typo, but you saw him in person.
In his hair.
The hair adds at least 3 inches.
Oh my gosh. If you haven't, just a little sidebar, just go to msubobcats.com, look at his new profile picture. It's worth it. Then do yourself a favor. Just look at every year prior to that. It's beautiful. Just the progression.
We should post like the 4-picture format in Twitter of his progression on the it's worth it. It's worth the look.
All right. Coming in left guard, Zach Red. Zach Red is isn't he out of Idaho?
Yeah, he's
Meridian?
out of Idaho. Meridian, I believe, yeah.
Yep. Okay. Center, we have the Montana transfer, Cole Sane, 6'4", 280, sophomore. He always wanted to be a Bobcat. I was reading up on him, and Jeff Cho didn't offer him. So he said that would have been an easier decision in his brain, and he went to Montana. Obviously, he didn't like it because who would want to play for the Grizz, right?
Yep.
And then I think he went over to
Riverside
Riverside College or Riverside State College, something like that. Anyways, we got him back as a Bobcat. He's going to be our starting center. Right guard, Taylor Tuiasosopo. We talked about him in the last episode, 6'4", 308. And then a freshman, redshirt freshman, TJ Sessions, is starting right tackle, 6'4", 282. So, pretty solid line. I mean, I say that just like flippantly. That's a really solid line.
Yes.
Like, we're not going to have any problems running the ball. If we do, it's going to be a big surprise to me. A very big surprise.
My only concern with the, I guess I have two concerns with the offensive line. Pass protection, not something they've been asked to do a whole lot of. Everyone likes to run block, as I understand it. If you're an offensive lineman, run blocking is way more fun and easier. You just, get downhill and just punish people instead of backpedaling. So we'll see how the passing game works and what they do there. And then the other thing would be like the depth, like your sixth or your seventh spot there. We lost a couple guys that were planning on being big contributors. I think Dylan Porter, who's been in around the program for quite a while, could fill in some spots if necessary. 6'5", 305 senior, or Joe McElroy, who's a 6'4", 286-pound sophomore from he's from Montana somewhere. He might be a Missoula kid actually, but I slated those guys. The two guys are probably going to step in if they had to, but it's a very solid starting lineup. I worry a little bit if someone goes down, but that's a top line. Even with Connor Wood transferring to Missouri, like Connor Wood was a great player. I put him like behind Lewis Kidd and Taylor Tuiasosopo. Would you agree with that?
Yeah.
I only say that because it's kind of crazy to me that like the third best offensive lineman arguably transferred to an SEC school. Just kind of interesting.
A little point on depth. There's another guy I'm kind of excited about in the program when we signed him, Rush Reimer out of Camas, Washington. Just a big dude with the nasty streak. So I think he's listed behind Kidd at left tackle. So he could get some playing time.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of guys you could talk about here. Typically, you don't talk too much about freshman offensive linemen because they're just not usually physically ready, so it's not even worth really mentioning. But, he's a guy that I think a lot of people are really high on, so that's a good point. Thanks for bringing him up. So, all right. Is there anything else you want to talk about, the offensive line there?
Nope, I think we're good to go. I think we should move on to the defense.
And when we're done doing this, I asked you to do a preseason MVP for offense and defense and a breakout player for offense and defense. So if you haven't done that already, keep thinking that in your mind as we go here. We'll do that at the end. But let's move over to the defensive side of the ball. We just talked about the offensive line. Let's talk about the defensive line. Big storyline here. And I want to ask you just your general thoughts on this before we even talk about anything. How do you feel about going to a 4-man front versus the 3-man front that we've been running for 4 years?
I kind of like it, actually. Mainly because I thought when we were going to do that, we were going to have 3 linebackers. So that's a different kind of conversation. I like the 4-2-5, the way it's been presented to me. I also like having Amandre Williams and Daniel Hardy opposite of each other. I think that's going to be a dynamic duo on the ends. So I'm pretty okay with it for right now. What about you?
How do you feel about the size of the defensive tackles? I clearly have a misprint here because now I'm looking at it. Kyle Rigg is 268. I put in 230. That's clearly wrong. But even 268 in the interior and Chase Benson at 280, that's not huge. That's okay by FCS standards, but is that like national championship level size on the interior on a 4-man front? I mean, if you're athletic enough, I don't think it's a huge problem, but it's something to, that makes me concerned a little bit, I guess. It makes me take pause. I love Daniel Hardy and Amandre Williams on the ends. But then you could even argue that they're a bit undersized too. Traditionally, in a 4-man front, like if we had like Taylor Fa'anono or we had someone like Caleb Schreibeis, those guys were all like 250, 260. I think Fa'anono ended up at 270 his senior year at defensive end. Now we got Amandre Williams at 236 and Daniel Hardy at like 240. You know, the size isn't quite there. You're going to have a very, very athletic pass rushing ability, but is it going to be enough to seal the edges and the run support would be my concern with the defensive ends.
That's a good point. I mean, when you look at this group and you look at the guys who left, Bryce Stirk, Derek Marks, Jason Skrempos, those are huge names, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I won't be surprised if we see a little bit of decline in our just getting after the quarterback. Because when I look at Bryce Stirk, Derek Marks, man, I don't know what you think, but I just think of just terrorizing opposing quarterbacks.
Well,
Just feasting on those guys.
If you think about that, I guess you could say Derek Marks was only listed at 265, wasn't he? Like Marks wasn't real big. Good. He was able to do all that matchup stuff though because Chase Benson was hogging up defense or double teams all game long at that nose tackle in the 3-4. I think Benson can still do that. Benson might actually be more productive in a 4-3 because he's not going to have double teams the entire time.
Well, if you're talking about size, you're worried about size, you can just look to Tuaretta, which you listed him as 398. He's not 398. There's no way he's 398.
Okay, well, the depth chart you put in there has him at 382. Is there any difference, really?
I hope so. I thought I heard he had like lost weight. Like he might have cut some.
The spring depth chart had him at 358, but the fact that we're debating anywhere between 360 and 390 is just kind of comical anyway.
Yeah, we love you, Tua. We're not making fun of you.
He's gonna get in there. He's gonna play. He's gonna be probably limited, but that doesn't matter. He's gonna come in for certain packages. He's a very athletic 380-ish. So
there's two guys I've heard really good things about on the players who will rotate in is Blake Schmidt and Sebastian Valdez. And I see a lot of Sebastian Valdez when I watch the clips. And so he's a guy that's getting a lot of playing time. He's just flashing out there. Blake Schmidt's been a guy, he's been a dog for a while now. So he's a freshman, defensive, but I just feel like, these freshmen have been like, we've seen like 2 seasons of them.
Yeah, he's not a redshirt, I guess, but yeah, he's been in 2 years for sure.
Okay, so yeah, Blake Schmidt, Sebastian Valdez, those are guys that you'll hear a lot of names of. I think the best thing the Cats can do is just rotate. We're going to see Ben Seymour, Sebastian Valdez, Marcus Ware, Byron Rollins, Tuaretta. These guys will be coming in. I hope, here's a thought throwing it. I hope Chase Benson doesn't get worn out because Chase Benson, by all means, is kind of the nasty, like the run stopper, the guy that's just like you don't want to mess with.
Yeah.
Now, if he gets hurt, who replaces him?
That's a problem.
So, yeah.
Yeah, if Benson goes down, I imagine Blake Schmidt fills into that role, but
yeah.
But Blake Schmidt's largely unproven. We've heard a lot of good things about him, but I don't know if he's played in a single game.
No.
And then you got Ben Seymour actually had some flashes last year, didn't he? From the defensive end spot as a pure pass rush specialist. That's what he's there for. He's only at 220. These guys going to fill in on the ends there for the passing downs, but it's a pretty good line. It's not super deep and it's not real big. I haven't heard anything about David Alston, the Nebraska transfer, 6'4", 235, is supposed to be playing the defensive end either. Have you heard much about him?
No. I'm glad you brought him up, though, because he was a question on my radar as well.
And then Blake Hehl, H-E-H-L. I don't know how to say that.
From Tarleton State.
Is he in Tarleton State? Yeah, thank you for saying that, because I was thinking he was a Nevada transfer for some reason. But yeah, 6'3", 280. So he's got some size. He's a junior. And Alston, is he a senior? Is he a grad transfer? I must have mistyped that. He has to be a sophomore. I'm pretty sure he's a sophomore. Man, I'm real good.
I'm not seeing it right there. Sorry, buddy.
Anyway, those are two guys that, transfers in that could be make an impact too. There's a lot of bodies in this room, and this is kind of a theme for a lot of position groups on the Bobcats. There's a lot of talent, a lot of bodies, but it's all unproven. So we'll just kind of see how it looks. We'll see how the Freddie Banks scheme works, and it's a group I'm excited about, but it's going to be hard to replicate the talent level and the production we had in 2019 from the defensive line.
Well, let's move into the linebackers.
The weirdest position group to talk about, in my opinion. Two linebackers. I don't even know.
Two of them. Yeah. We have a Will and we have a Mike.
Yeah.
And those are pretty solidified right away. The Mike, the middle guy, the guy who's in charge of the whole defense, Troy Anderson. We don't have to say anything about Troy Anderson.
Nothing.
Will is Callahan O'Reilly. Led the team in tackles last year. So 2 stars right there. So
you got your 2 best linebackers on the field. Guarantee that.
Behind them is a little bit different in the story.
More fuzzy.
Why don't you take it, Thorny?
Yeah, I was doing the research for this, and I was like compiling the backup linebackers, and I was like, there aren't any linebackers. There's like Nolan Askelson, who has been pretty productive for the Cats so far, 6'2", 223 sophomore, 223 pound sophomore. Taden Gilman is listed as a linebacker, but I believe he's going to be backup nickelback for Tyrell Thomas. But it's going to be kind of like a big nickel situation. So, like, there might be 3 linebackers, right? There might be 3 linebackers if you really think about it. And I think Taden Gilman would take that third linebacker / nickel role, kind of like you remember what Cole Moore did. I would imagine he's going to be chasing down wide receivers in the slot, doing kind of thing that Cole Moore did. But then you got Danny Ulilakip. Dang it. I thought I had it down. You want to give it a shot there, Danny
Ulilakip.
See, we're going to learn it. We promised, I think his dad follows us. He's probably listening to this and like, come on, guys. But man, he
probably said it wrong too.
He looks the part already, man. 6'1", 223 as a freshman. He looks like a dude. I think he's going to be a playmaker, but that's it. That is the depth chart. There's like 5 linebackers. They converted anybody who was listed at linebacker previously at either their old stop, like David Alston at Nebraska, or like Daniel Hardy. They're all defensive linemen now because they need a 4-3. They need a whole bunch of them. We lost Walker Cozy, Josh Hill, Michael Jobin, and Chad Cano from the linebacker room due to graduation or retirement due to injuries in the case of Jobin or Cano. So, I think the talent is obviously there. Troy Anderson is going to be one of the best linebackers in the league. I'm very curious to see how he does calling the plays, something he's never done before. I'm going to see curious how he does running sideline to sideline because I think his strength is more north-south stuff instead of east-west stuff. So we'll see how that goes. But I think he's going to obviously be good because he's Troy Anderson and he will be good at anything he does. O'Reilly has proven himself. Do you remember last year, actually, there was a fake punt that Callahan O'Reilly took? Was it to the house or maybe it wasn't to the house, but it was for like 80 yards.
Oh, I think he took it to the house.
I think it is scored. I remember watching that play on TV and I was just like, is that Troy Anderson? Because it was just this big bodied guy just galloping down the field. And it's like, oh, Callahan O'Reilly. I think he's got some of those actual same physical traits that Troy does. So I'm really excited about those two. I'm very curious to see what it looks like in a 4-2-5. Something I've never really paid much attention or seen a lot of. I don't know if anyone runs that in the Big Sky Conference or not or anything. So it'll be interesting to watch. But obviously the talent's there, but the depth, beyond that, if Troy hasn't been healthy his whole career. So if Troy goes down, that could be a problem.
Yeah, that was my main question for you, Ryan, was how do you feel about Troy playing Will? It's not Will, excuse me, Mike. Like, he's going to be in the run fits and he's going to be up in the box and he's going to be crashing and taking on linemen. That concerns me a little bit.
Yeah.
What about you?
It's not my ideal position for Troy, but it's also not a traditional Mike. He's not going to be the guy just stuck in the middle all the time. He's going to have the ability to run sideline to sideline and use his speed. So it still seems like not quite a perfect fit, but, I'm very excited to watch him play. That's all I know.
Where's your best position for Troy? Where would you put him?
I don't know. Running back.
Yeah.
It's hard to argue with his production back there.
Oh man, do you remember his first game against Washington State?
Yeah. Yeah. He actually looked pretty good in that game.
Yeah.
You could see it. You could see it right there. He almost broke a touchdown run. He got caught on the shoestrings.
Mm.
I remember I went to that game with my wife and her friends who are all big Cougar fans, and they told me at halftime, like, "Who's that running back you guys got? The big white guy." Oh, that's Troy Anderson. Yeah, that was pretty entertaining. But
Oh,
yeah,
man.
should be a good group. But
Okay.
let's move to the other group that has a lot of fighting for the pecking order. We got the secondary. We're going to lump it all together, especially with how it's going to be with Freddie Banks. There's going to be a nickelback. There's going to be 2 safeties and 2 corners. And right now, I think Tyrell Thomas is slated to start at the nickelback position. And he's not big. He's not a big man. He's 5'8", 170. I keep hearing
But he's thick.
he is thick.
Like,
he's stout.
thick.
And I guess he's not really. He hasn't really been injured very much, has he?
No, he's been pretty solid for us.
Yeah, you think about
I
like.
think of Jalen Cole.
Yeah, no. I know Cole's been injured. He had retarded injuries, and that's actually one thing we were going to talk about because they came in the same class. I mean, there were some off-season departures here. We got Jalen Cole, who retired. Greg Fowler transferred to Sac State. Tyler Bohannon transferred to Idaho State, and the Gibson twins both transferred somewhere. But that's like 4 guys, 2 of them that were very solid players for the Cats, and 2 of them that were supposed to be very solid players from the Cats. 4 players right there. But at the same time, you look at that room, and there's still plenty of talent there. We got James Campbell, a converted wide receiver who has just been a special teams ace for the last couple of seasons. One of those guys that you just can't keep him on the field. So you gotta find a spot for him to be successful. And the coaching staff has decided that is going to be cornerback. Opposite side of right now, I think it's going to be Eric Zambrano, who is a 6'1", 190-pound sophomore from California. Question mark.
James Campbell is also 6'1", so we got some length on the corners.
Yeah, we got 2 6'1" corners. We got Tyrell Thomas manning the nickelback at 5'8", but then we got Ty Okada, who's not a real big safety himself, but he's very physical. We've seen that production from him. But he's 5'11", 183 pounds. He's slated to start at the strong safety spot.
Now, that's going to be our big nickel, right?
The big nickel would be when Taden Gilman comes in for Tyrell Thomas, isn't it?
Yeah, and then Tyrell bumps out and covers receiver, right? We're so good at this.
I assume that Tyrell Thomas comes off the field in that situation because then you'd have 5 defensive backs, and then who did Taden Gilman replace then when he comes in?
I'm not sure.
Callahan or
But
Riley?
I do remember Vegan saying, when Gilman's in, that would be a situation when we bump Tyrell out to cover some sort.
Well, then someone has to come out of the game. So I don't know if it's like James Campbell or Zambrano has to come out then or what, but it's a good question. I don't know how this is all going to look. Like, it's very interesting to analyze the 4-2-5 and the way they're going to approach it. I've heard it's a little more nuanced or complex than your typical 4-2-5. But if Ty Okada has his spot locked down at strong safety, then is free safety really a battle between Jeffrey Manning, the transfer from Oregon State, who's a junior? He's 6'1", 192. He's got some good size. Or Trey Webb, who's not even on either of our rosters here. Do I even have him on my other roster? But he's the transfer from San Jose State, a senior who started quite a few games for San Jose State. So you can imagine he's not going to see the field. So how is this all going to look fully?
Yeah, I have no clue. I'm really interested in Trey Webb. You say he's a safety. I'm not sure if he's a safety or a corner. I'm not sure on that. Are you pretty solid on that?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's a safety.
Okay. Well, I mean, he was getting all conference kind of recognition, right?
Yeah, he was honorable mention his last year, San Jose State.
Yeah, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, he's a 3-year starter
Miles
at
Jackson.
safety. 3-year starter at safety.
Yeah, 2 other names I want to put out there. Miles Jackson, a guy that really flashed in the spring. And then Lavelle Price Jr. He played 15 games for us in 2019. I mean, he's a proven commodity. 5'8".
Yeah,
I
just
mean,
a
he's
sophomore.
not big, but well, neither is Tyrell Thomas. But so I like what Brent Vegan had to say on this group. He said that it could be the most talented, but the most inexperienced group we have.
I mean, we've heard good things about Devin Davis from camps too. Like they just have some guys that are flashing. Rylan Ort, I think, is going to be a really good safety at some point in his career. He's going to have to wait his turn, but he's just a freshman from
Simeon Woodard.
Yeah, he's
another guy.
Yeah, Vegan was praising Simeon Woodard just the other day. There's some talent there, but just like
Kendrick Bailey.
It was a transfer. Like, where did Kendrick Bailey? I don't remember him coming in. Like that one seems to escape me.
So he's going to be spelling Jeffrey Manning on the back end. So the free safety.
Is he now? Or is he going to be bumped down now to Trey Webb? Yeah. So
it's a
lot of safeties fighting for playing time there. Maybe they're going to run some sort of 3 safety look. Or I guess they're going to be running a 3 safety look. Well, no. See, this is where things get just. I don't know the answers to the questions on how the secondary is going to look, but there's plenty of talent and there's a lot of size, which is pretty exciting.
Ryan, think who we're replacing.
Oh, yes. We didn't even talk about the departures here. That's a tough task. We got Braden Conkle. We got JoJo Henderson, who I thought was a very underrated player. I think people thought he was good, but I think he was really underrated. And then, of course, Jockway Allen. Like 3 top-notch safeties, like 3 of the best safeties we've had like last decade. And we're replacing all those guys. That's going to be a huge task.
We should get one of those guys on and interview him. I'd like to talk to maybe Jockway. That'd be fun.
Jockway, I mean, you already have a rapport with him, right? Because you interviewed him a couple years ago at the Big Sky kickoff event.
Oh, I did. Yeah, that's right.
And then Conkle, man, just get him on here to bash the Grizz for 45 straight minutes. That'd be pretty entertaining.
Just listen to Cat Grizz stories.
Yeah. Oh man, he's got to have some great Cat Grizz stories. So we'll get those guys on. But we're diverting here, so that pretty much sums up the offense and the defense, personnel wise. So let's take a moment to talk about the special teams. The last thing we have to talk about tonight. We have 3 freshmen fighting for 2 spots here. I think you and I can both agree that Bryce Layton is the guaranteed punter. I think he's the only punter on the roster. He's the Gatorade, not Gatorade Player of the Year. He went to the Gatorade All-American, or it was the McDonald's All-American game, whatever that big fancy high school All-American game is. Under Armour, yeah. First MSU recruit to ever do so. He's the only punter on the roster. Bryce Layton is going to be the punter. Man, that's big for shoes to fill, though. Jared Padmos was an excellent punter for us for the last 4 years.
Yeah, one of the unsung heroes of the Jeff Choate era, to take a phrase out of Coulter Nuanez right there. He just poached that totally from him. But yeah, Bryce Layton, big leg, high recruit. He might be like a 5-star recruit. Is that true?
I don't know if he's a 5-star recruit, but he may have been 4. But either way, I think he was the number 1 rated punter in the country.
Yep. So big get from Montana
It's a big, huge get. That's important. And he's going to have 4 years. He's going to be yet another 4-year starter at punter, which has been just a theme going back for 10 plus years now for the Bobcats. So I'm pretty excited to see what he can do. I haven't watched any of his punts or really anything. Maybe a little bit of the spring scrimmage that was televised, but big shoes to fill, Jared Pasmos. But I think we got a guy who can do it.
Yep. And I think his dad follows our podcast. So cool stuff right there.
Yeah. Who you hearing is going to win the kicking job? We got a couple of freshmen there between Luke Pollock and Blake Glessner.
Yeah, I haven't heard much, but I think what I have heard is they're leaning towards Luke Pollock. I have nothing to go off of on this, Ryan. We haven't seen anybody kick. So the reports from camp, I don't know. Yep. Luke Pollock.
I haven't heard much, and I haven't really followed I didn't check the scrimmage to see. I should have checked the scrimmage results to see if they showed who made field goals and how long they were and all that stuff. I think I heard Glessner hit a couple of 40-yard field goals, so that's always exciting. No idea who's going to win the battle, but we were fairly inconsistent the last couple of years under Tristan Bailey, so I'm excited to see maybe a step forward there, or at least you'd think you'd be able to carry what we had going last year. I wonder if it's going to be a case where one guy handles kickoff duties and another guy handles place kicking duties. We've had that in the past.
Yeah, we could have 3 specialists doing different kickoff duties. And you're right about Tristan Bailey. He kind of had the yips from about 40 out, especially towards the end of the season.
Yeah,
especially
it happened later in the season, it
playoffs.
seemed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So it's good to hear about Glessner.
But Bailey could crush it through the uprights on kickoffs, and he was a pretty good tackler. So there's some things there, that you don't typically see from kickers, but they're just equally important.
What's interesting to me is that we have 3 freshmen that are going to be taking the duties. We're not bringing anybody in. So, man, we're going to be talking about these guys for 4 years. That's pretty cool.
All right. Well, that's enough talk about the kickers. Most of my questions, there's position battles. I'm not concerned about those, though. I think whoever comes out on top is going to be good because I think there's just talent all over the place. My concerns are largely coaching related, and just to see how you guys are utilized, and if we'll just see if the rookie coordinators are in over their heads, or if they got it on lock.
It's going to take some time. I don't think we can be too fast in our judgments, although we're going to want to be. And that's one thing. I'll just end on this whole kind of put button on this is like if we come out in Wyoming and we don't look good. I mean, man, it's going to be tough. People are just going to be fired up. They're going to be, oh my gosh, this. But, if we come out and let's say we beat Wyoming, it's golden. And then maybe there's a steady progression where we get a little worse. I don't know. Who's to say? But people are going to overreact one way or the other after Wyoming.
Wyoming is, and we'll talk about this. We're going to do a Wyoming preview. We're going to get a guy on from a Wyoming radio show to come and preview the game for us. But it's such a weird, you can't get too up or down about that game because it's such a weird dynamic. We haven't played in 2 years. We skipped a whole season where Wyoming didn't. We have a new head coach who used to be their offensive coordinator. There's just way too many weird variables here to really take away too much from a win or a loss in that game. But let's wrap this up. I want to know who your preseason offensive MVP is.
Ooh.
If you
I actually didn't. No, I'm going to choose one. I'm going to go with Afonso.
Yeah. That's the safe choice in my opinion. I think the only challenger that could be to Afonso would be Matt McKay if he comes and balls out and really puts up a show. But if Afonso has the carries that he deserves, he's going to be my pick too for the preseason MVP. How about your defensive preseason MVP? Troy Anderson.
It's so easy, right?
It
I'm
is.
gonna go Daniel Hardy.
You can't just not pick. Hardy. You can't just not pick Troy because it's this pick everyone's going to do. Troy's the obvious pick. In this case, I think it's warranted. If he's healthy the entire season, he's going to be the MVP.
No, I still think it's going to be Daniel Hardy. I think Daniel Hardy is just so damn explosive. And Troy Anderson is too. But Troy Anderson has been hurt for a long stinking time.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's such a transcendent talent. He is. But I don't know if we haven't ruined Troy Anderson. Yeah. I hope we haven't. Right? I mean, I hate to say it. Like, and let's just put it out there. Like, Troy might be never Troy again. Like, in our eyes. Like, maybe the sophomore season was as good as it's going to get for Troy Anderson.
Could be. It could be. Wouldn't be the first player that injuries derailed.
Yeah, so, I mean, Troy Anderson could take it lights out, right? Easily. But I still really like Daniel Hardy. I mean, the guy has athleticism oozing out of him. He's just so more athletic than anybody I've seen on the end. He's just more twitchy. Hey, dude can do a full backflip in his pads. Like, I mean, that's just unreal. I think he just wants it too. Like, he's been just buried behind Troy for so long. He's probably just tired of hearing about Troy. I mean, he probably loves Troy, and they all do. But man, I think Hardy's just ready to feast. I'm gonna go with Daniel Hardy.
So I was also going to ask about your breakout player on defense. Is that the same answer then?
No, I'm gonna go Ty Okada.
Okay, I mean, that's a good one. He's kind of proven a little bit, but he hasn't really broke out in any sort of like all conference level way. So that's a good choice. I'll go with that one. Mine's Daniel Hardy because I picked Troy as my preseason MVP. So I'm equally excited about Daniel Hardy as you are. Don't get me wrong. I think he's going to be a stud. The other option could be Amandre Williams. I think he's going to have a really good year. But Hardy, I'm very excited to watch him play. I think he has talent that he's just starting to untap or tap into. Yeah, he's my pick.
Trey Webb could be a guy that we're like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, or Jeffrey Manning. And we've heard such good things about these guys. We just haven't seen them play.
Yeah, I've heard good things about both Manning and Webb. I just don't know where they fit in. I don't know what positions they're playing. It's hard because, like you said, everything's so tight-lipped. The scrimmage on Saturday was, I guess, completely closed off to everybody, quarterback, club members, nobody saw that thing. So who knows what's going on in camp? Who knows who's starting where? Breakout player on offense, Ryan Foley.
Elijah Elliott or Jahari Martin.
Jahari Martin, that's a bit more bold, I'd say. You think he's getting more
I
than...
think he's going to get a lot of goal line touches, man.
Yeah, I guess he could score like 10 touchdowns or something.
Yeah.
Mine's Jaden Smith. Matt McKay. I don't know if Matt McKay is going to start the whole season. I think he is, and he probably will. But whoever's starting, they're going to be throwing the ball to Jaden Smith. So he's going to be my pick for a breakout player because based kind of on what Kevin Cass has said. But there's just not guys like that in the Big Sky Conference who are 6'5", almost 6'6", with the athleticism and the size and just the ability to go up and get a ball. Jaden Smith. Ooh, that's exciting. That's a good list. I'm so excited for football, man. I feel like we started off this podcast a little slow out of the gates, but I think we got rolling here. So, man, I'm just super excited at this point. But let's go ahead and move into some Golden Coolie questions. I think we've selected 4 questions that we received on Bobcat Nation and 1 from Reddit. Thanks, everyone, for submitting some questions. Foley, man, do you want to take the first one, or how do you want to do this?
Yeah, I could take the first one. The first one comes from our friend Corey. Ooh, I just outed his name. WBTFG on the Bobcat Nation says, who leads the team in sacks?
Daniel Hardy. That's my vote. I think he's got the most opportunity. I think he's got the best upside. And I think he's going to win a lot of one-on-one battles in the Big Sky Conference. I'm voting for Daniel Hardy.
Do you think he passes Troy Anderson?
Do you think he has more sacks than Troy Anderson?
Yeah, that's what I meant right there. Sorry.
Well, I wouldn't be answering if he's going to lead the team in sacks if I thought he was going to have less than Troy Anderson.
Oh, that's a good point. I mean, you got me there, Ryan. So I guess, yeah, Troy's playing. He's not playing Buck. I mean, he's playing Mike. So, yeah, I'm going to go with Daniel Hardy on that. I think you're right.
It could very well be Troy. Like he might be my second pick. I just don't know how they're going to utilize him. I don't know how much he's going to blitz. I don't know how much opportunity he's going to have to sack the quarterback. I mean, Daniel Hardy's going to have a chance to sack the quarterback, 20 times a game. So,
yeah. Any secondary guys you would throw in there?
Secondary? No, I don't. I guess, like I said, I don't know how we're going to run it, but probably the nickelback, Tyrell Thomas, would probably be your best bet from the corner spot. We might throw him on some blitzes, some funny angle blitzes.
Yeah, we haven't seen a lot of blitzes in the last 4 years, and so it's going to be interesting to see what we do.
Yeah. All right. So we both agree, Daniel Hardy. Thanks for the question there, Corey. Bobcat fan 123 asks us which players that didn't play in 2019 are going to come in and surprise with major contributions this year. I think it's a great question because we've had so many good recruits I've been waiting to watch.
I mean, there's a handful of players in 2019 that got like 4 or 5 snaps.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's a
You
hard
know, a
question to
couple
answer
games
now.
you were. Yeah, exactly. So my first thought was Jaden Smith, right?
Yeah.
I mean, but Jaden Smith has caught touchdown as a Bobcat already. If we're staying true to the question, a guy I think will pay big dividends early on that hasn't played since 2019 might be Danny Yu, linebacker.
Yeah. Yeah, I could see
So
that.
I mean, we could actually project that over the secondary, right? The back end, the safety. So we have Trey Webb, Jeffrey Manning. Those guys could be definitely fill that role as well. But Danny Yu, he's the first guy that came to my mind.
Yeah, it's hard to know when guys actually were recruited. I want to say Elijah Elliott, but it looks like 2020, I think, was when he was recruited. So he wasn't here in 2019. I think the spirit of the question is guys were here on the roster, redshirting or whatever, and just haven't played since then. I mean, I would say probably Jahari Martin. He got a few carries in 2019, but I think it's minimal enough to say that I think he could count for this question. I'm excited to see what he can do on the goal line, blocking. We could utilize him in some different ways. So I don't know too many other guys that just come to mind on this. This would have been a question to research better, but I'll go with Jahari Martin. I'm just excited to watch him play in general. So might as well pick him for this question.
That's an excellent pick. You picked offense, I picked defense. Works out.
That's right. Thanks for the question, Bobcat fan. 1, 2, 3. Appreciate it. You want to take the last, or yeah, I guess we got two more questions. We want to take the next one.
Yes, this comes from Cats Are Back 76. How does Coach Vegan prioritize recruiting? Does he go after position groups for priority, or is it more about looking at the cupboard and deciding? A cursor is blocking the rest of it. There it is. Sorry, that's really
all good.
odd.
It's all good.
Is deciding on strategy based on who's in and who's not. I think Cats Are Back, I think it's a little too early to tell. Early indications are he's gone. Vegan has picked up players based off of Dean and need, not necessarily about position group, but that's to be seen.
Yeah, I think it's a great question, and I think a lot of people are curious to see how Vegan goes about recruiting, especially in contrast to Jeff Choate, who we kind of know his recruiting style was just recruit as many people in every single position as you can every single year and let the dust settle. I don't know how it's going to be with Vegan. Obviously, the few players he's recruited are positions that really needed some depth, and they've just been transfers at this point. I don't know if Vegan has any high school recruits to his name except for maybe has there been any? It's been real quiet on the recruiting.
One
front.
guy from Montana.
Yeah, the guy from like Red Lodge or something like that, the tight end.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's about it. I wasn't sure if he was before Vegan or not. I couldn't remember. But either way, it's just, it's too early to tell on that one. It's something to certainly keep your eye on. I couldn't tell you. I don't have any good answer for that one, unfortunately.
I really am interested in how we approach recruiting. Jimmy Beal is our recruiting coordinator. He was under Jeff Choate, so he has a class underneath him under the old regime. And so I wonder how that's going to mix. So there's some interesting stuff looking forward.
Yeah, that was kind of one of those things where it's important to keep some guys on the staff as you come with the new staff. I think Jimmy Beal was a great guy to keep on just to keep that recruiting pipeline going, even though Jimmy Beal was relatively new in the role too. That's just kind of what Jimmy Beal is known for, and it's good to keep some continuity there. Thanks for the question, Cats Are Back 76. Let's move over to our last question from Danster21 from Reddit. He asks us, if you could get the most honest answer from any player, coach, or personnel, from Peanut Guy to Leon Costello, who would it be and what would you ask? It's an interesting question. Basically, give somebody a truth shot. A shot of truth serum, like in the old movies. Like, I don't even know if that's a real thing or not, but all those movies growing up in the 90s, everyone had truth serum that was everywhere. It's like sand traps and truth serum. But anyway, who would you pick?
Sand traps.
Quicksand, not sand traps. Quicksand is what I meant to say.
Jeez, I actually might go back and talk to Jeff Choate and ask him how it felt signing with Texas. Was he sad? Was he happy? Was he excited to get out of here? I don't know. Jeff Choate, Jeff Choate kind of has made, he's a man of mystery to me anymore. You have so much time to mold this stuff over in your head. You think you know one thing about a guy and then you pull something else. I don't know. I just have a lot of questions about Jeff Choate leaving.
I mean, it's like any breakup you have, right? You want to go ask. What went wrong? Was it you?
That's
was
the
it
spirit
me?
of the question, though. That's the spirit of the question. Get some truth here. I'm like, what was going through Jeff Choate's mind during that early part of this year? Was he just itching to get out, or was he like, did it all of a sudden come to be like, yeah, I'm going to make this step. I'm going to go for it, see what happens. Was this planned all along? What was his vision when he took the Montana State? 2-3 years into that, was he like, yeah, I'm going to ride this out and see what we do? Or was he like, yeah, I want to go on. I want to become a head coach at the higher level. Was that always his aspiration? I really want to know that. So that's my response right there.
I'll allow it. It doesn't say current personnel or anything like that. You waving your hands over there, but I would have assumed it meant current. But that is the first one that jumps to my mind for sure. It's like Jeff Choate, man. There's so many questions I have to ask him about, just like honesty questions. Like, you nailed it. I don't need to go into that either. We need to basically stop talking about Jeff Choate at some point in our lives. It's gone. He's gone, man. So I thought about this question. My original answer was going to be Leon Costello. Just ask him some honest questions about fundraising and how things are going or stuff like that. Something that just popped into my head. Wouldn't you like to know how Troy Anderson really feels about how MSU has used him in his career?
Ooh.
What do you think about that? Some people assume he was unhappy, or he's never complained about anything. Is he happy playing on offense and defense? Did he feel like he was overworked like some of the fans do? Those are questions you could ask Troy Anderson if you're going to get an honest answer out of him, because you're never going to get that kind of answer out of Troy, because he's a good guy. He's not going to say anything bad about anybody. So that'd be a very interesting question. And that's something I would never pursue in any way, shape, or form, but it might be interesting to know how he really feels about how he's been utilized at Montana State, or if he ever thought about leaving Montana State, transferring to Texas with Jeff Choate. I mean, there's all sorts of things you could ask Troy Anderson and get some questions answered that he would never answer any other circumstance.
For Troy Anderson to complain would be one thing, because he's widely considered one of the best Bobcats of all time. And he has all the accolades to back it up. So for him to complain would be one thing. But yes, it's almost like you could sit next to Troy Anderson and just feed him too many beers, at a bar, and be like, what do you really think, Troy? There's this time when they tried to play me at quarterback when I don't know why I was playing quarterback. Whatever. So interesting, Thorny. I had never thought about that. That's a good one.
And then another one I thought about too is all of the offensive coordinators that have come and gone under Jeff Choate. Ask them, what was it like being an offensive coordinator under Jeff Choate? That'd be a good question.
We have heard that he micromanaged some of his.
That was always
so it's been hard
the
to
whispers.
Coach underneath him. So
yeah, Courtney Messingham. Did you enjoy your time in Bozeman?
Did your mustache enjoy your time in Bozeman?
Yes, quite the Tom Selleck mustache there.
Danster, that is a really good question.
Good question, and we put some good thought into that. So I think we're gonna have to give you the Golden Coolie. Woo! All right, Danster, first time interacting with us, and you get a Golden Coolie. That's just how we roll here. So hit us up on. You can message me on Reddit. I know we had a conversation there, so you can hit me that way, or you can come on the Bobcat Nation, find us there, or just email us at rrcatcast@gmail.com, and we will get one sent out to you.
Nice, man.
Well, thanks everyone for submitting the questions. I hope you enjoyed our preview episode. We gave it our all here, but let's go ahead and get out of here. You can find us on Twitter, rrcatcast. You can email us, like I just said, rrcatcast@gmail.com. You can find us on the web, rrcatcast.com. It's pretty easy to figure all this out at this point. I want to thank Jeremiah Johnson one last time for being our sponsor for yet another year for yet another year. Foley, man, let's get out of here with a final Go Cats.
Go Cats.
Go Cats.